Are you a working and functioning human being? If you're watching this, I hope you are. And by functioning, I mean alive, mostly. So basically, have you ever heard someone say the words, "It's so easy for children to believe, and when they get older, their views change and they're corrupted by the world, and, they get tainted"? Have you ever gotten confused on why they say that? I'm no scholar or anything, but I hope this raises a few flags if you've heard this. Mainly because, and okay, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say this before I start with anything, okay? I am a huge skeptic. I am an enormous skeptic of most religions. Will I respect it? Yes. But when it's shoved in my face, will I have some criticism where I feel like they could do research? Also, yeah. So have you ever wondered why children believe things a lot easier than adults do? Well, it also stems from morality and how the human brain thinks as we are young and as we get older. When we're young, we tend to base our thoughts and what we perceive as right, good, and bad and wrong on what the people around us say. We don't have that life experience to say if something is right or if something's wrong. All we know is what people tell us. So, that's what we know. That's what we perceive as right and wrong. The reason we get tougher, we challenge a lot more as we get older, is because we live new experiences. We hear different things and we see other parts of the world, which may get us curious, may get us to be skeptic, but overall it shapes who we are. And this is just a brief partially it is based off of how children view the world and how children view morality, because religion is kind of connected to morality. People often say, if you don't follow this religion, and I'm saying this from my own experience in my religious faction that I have to go to, if you don't follow this religion, are your morals in the right place? And yeah, there can be people from many different religions who have quote unquote good morals, where they have morals that all align and match up. It's not that hard to believe that a lot of religions really just want not exactly the same thing, I wouldn't say, but they all believe in some sort of good. Now, do I think that people should need to have a god to be good? No. But do I think it's okay if they have a god? And it makes them feel comfortable being good? Sure, I guess. I think that if people are able to find comfort and validation through a religion, then that's amazing for them. That's great that they find something that they can hold dear to them, that they can trust in. Do I have those same feelings? More or less, not really, but that's fine. I grew up, and am still growing up, in a religious household. We're not super religious. They're not as pushy about it as they were before, because I guess I'm being more compliant than I was back when I was in middle school. But yeah, I strayed off a lot, but yeah, it has a lot to do with morals and morality. The same thing again applies for morals. When you're young, I believe it's children till the age of, I would say 5 or 7, and I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. Because I have not, it's been a while since I read it. But from a certain age, right, when you're a child, is when you're kind of in your very absorbent, I wouldn't say era, but in your very absorbent time in your life, where you are absorbing a lot of information. You are absorbing what people tell you. You are absorbing what they're teaching you in schools, and there's just a lot of information going into your brain. But all of this information, and a lot of the time you're not forming you're forming who you're going to become, but you're not exactly that person yet with those ideas, if that makes sense. You still are, and you still get a sense of that, but you're still learning things. You're learning things like emotions and ABCs, how to build simple words, how to build sentences. I mean, you know how to talk, but do you know how to write? Stuff like that. Elementary stuff. And then you get into the point in your life where you start developing and you start finding out all these different things and all these different labels of every kind that you might relate to. And that's great. And that will shape your morality, and that will shape how you view the world, and that will shape how you view, well, if you still believe in religion or not. It could be the make or break. And of course, that won't go for the rest of your life. It could be the make or break when you're in middle school, but you might come back to it when you're an adult. And that's what I'm saying. You can't just simply say, kids are so easy to teach this to because they'll believe it from the get-go. Because obviously they're going to believe it from the get-go. They're still soaking up this information, and that's all they know. But to say that adults are harder just because they have a different view of the world, because have life experience now, then yes and no. Yes, they can be more difficult, but that's because they're not just obedient sponges anymore. They're people with life experience and different experiences than you do. And you may not understand that, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean we should just throw them in a category and say they're all corrupted and they wouldn't understand because their hearts are hardened. They are the way that they are because of the experiences that they had. Experiences that kids don't have yet. And over time, you might say it's a test of God, but really, it's a test of time. As they grow older, they experience new things, good or bad, and that can shape how they view morality and how they view religion. And as they grow older, like I said, they might come back to it or they might not. They might resent it, and they might embrace it. And some are in the middle where it doesn't really matter. And that's just my take on it. But yeah. That's how I view it. Is there anything else I can add? I guess I talk about this because I have a lot of my own views. I'm very opinionated, as this channel may suggest if you've, seen other things I talk about. And that's because I've gone through my own set of experiences. I haven't experienced it all, but I've experienced quite a bit. And so I went from an obedient sponge child that absorbed everything, being really, really passionate about religion, to someone who grew out of it. Someone who thought maybe there's more out there. If this can't save me, then maybe something else can. To being someone who doesn't really believe in religion at all. But instead of being someone who then resented religion, I became someone who supported it. In the sense that everyone should have something that comforts them. And people should be allowed to be comforted by what they feel comforted by. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody or hurt themselves in any way. And that is my cat. That is my cat. But yeah, that is just my take on it. Yeah. and just know that people change over time. We learn new things all the time, both about ourselves and about other people, and about our minds and how our minds work, and that it's not a single thing that happens. It's a bunch of factors that go into how people change over time and how maybe things become difficult or maybe things stay the same. Maybe someone goes throughout their entire life following a religious figure because that's what they were taught and that's what brings them comfort. And yeah, I think that's nice. As long as they don't bring harm to others or distress or pain or any of that. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. So, I'm pretty sure I ended and then I keep on going and then I talk a lot. But yeah. I just think that saying it's easier to get them when you're young and get them to believe from when they're young just feels a little culty sometimes. Sometimes what they say feels a little culty to me. Maybe, like I said, I'm a skeptic. Maybe that's me being a skeptic. Maybe that's me being reasonable because I don't like culty things. Out of, like things that aren't real life. Anyways, yeah. Thanks for listening to my rant.